Beneath the ocean's surface lies a hidden world of ancient puzzles. Geological formations and colossal structures rest in the deep, holding secrets that challenge everything we know about history and science. These sunken wonders are submerged enigmas that continue to baffle experts and captivate explorers around the globe. From entire cities swallowed by the sea to bizarre underwater landscapes that defy natural explanation, these mysteries represent a thrilling frontier of discovery. By the end of this journey, you will know the most compelling theories behind 20 of the world's greatest sunken geological mysteries. We will explore a Japanese monument so precise it seems man-made, and a submerged river flowing silently under the Black Sea. What do you believe is the most fascinating story the deep sea has yet to tell? Something deep within us is called by the abyss. The ocean floor remains a vast, unexplored wilderness, a place of perpetual darkness and immense pressure that keeps its secrets locked away. This hidden world resonates with our oldest stories of great floods and lost continents, making every sunken ruin feel like a potential piece of the Atlantis myth. The renowned oceanographer Sylvia Earle perfectly captured this feeling when she called the ocean the planet's great museum, a place holding countless artifacts and stories we are only just beginning to uncover. Our fascination is a powerful mix of romance and science. We are driven by the thrill of the hunt, the chance to find a single clue that could force us to rewrite entire chapters of human history. Modern technology has become our key to this museum. Advanced sonar paints detailed pictures of the seabed, and deep-diving submersibles act as our eyes in the eternal night, allowing us to visit these sites without ever getting wet. Yet, for every question these tools answer, they pose a dozen more. The sheer difficulty of reaching the deep ensures that every discovery is a hard-won victory, a tantalizing glimpse that reminds us how much remains unknown. This relentless pursuit of answers brings us directly to our first marvel, a structure off the coast of Japan that continues to ignite fierce debate. Is the Yonaguni monument a natural masterpiece or the crumbling remnant of a civilization lost to time? The debate over Yonaguni is a battle of interpretations, fought over sharp right angles and flat surfaces found deep underwater. In the late 1980s, a local diver exploring the clear waters off Yonaguni Island stumbled upon something that would change his life and ignite a scientific controversy. He found a colossal formation, a sprawling complex of what looked like immense terraces, towering pillars, and wide, flat platforms. The most striking features are the perfectly straight, 90-degree angles where massive stone blocks seem to meet. There are what appear to be grand staircases climbing the structure, and even two prominent pillars that some argue resemble a giant turtle and a human face. The sheer scale and apparent design of the monument immediately suggested to some that this was not a random act of nature. How could such precise geometry occur without intelligent hands guiding it? The most vocal proponent of this theory is Professor Masaki Kimura, a marine geologist who has spent decades studying the site. He points to features that seem to have no natural explanation, like symmetrical star-shaped markings and what look like carved drainage channels. He envisions Yonaguni as a ceremonial complex, a sunken city perhaps 5,000 years old, built by a sophisticated culture long before recorded history in the region. This idea is incredibly compelling, suggesting a lost chapter of human achievement now claimed by the sea. Yet, the scientific mainstream remains deeply skeptical. Opposing geologists like the late Robert Schoch argue that the entire structure is made of natural sandstone. This type of rock, they explain, has a strong tendency to fracture along straight lines and planes, especially when subjected to the powerful tectonic forces common in an area known for frequent earthquakes. The relentless sculpting power of ocean currents over thousands of years could then have smoothed these fractures into what we now perceive as steps and platforms. The so-called carved faces, they suggest, are simply the result of rocks falling away in distinctive patterns, a classic example of pareidolia, where our brains see meaningful shapes in random natural forms. So, is Yonaguni a profound archaeological treasure or a breathtaking geological illusion? The answer may ultimately lie in the middle, a place where nature's artistry and possible human modification are intertwined. Perhaps ancient people found this naturally impressive outcrop and enhanced it, carving their own marks onto a canvas already prepared by the earth. This first mystery sets a powerful precedent for our journey, forcing us to question what we think we know about the past. It shows how difficult it can be to distinguish a masterpiece of nature from the fingerprints of a lost civilization, a challenge that continues as we travel from the Pacific to the coast of India, where another sunken city whispers from the deep. That same tension between nature and human hands surfaces thousands of miles away in the turquoise shallows of the Bahamas. Here, just off the coast of Bimini, lies a formation that has become a modern legend, a path leading directly into the heart of the Atlantis myth. In 1968, a discovery sent shockwaves through the world of alternative history. Lying in only 20 feet of water was a perfectly linear formation of massive, rectangular limestone blocks. Stretching for over half a mile, these stones are arranged with such geometric precision that they look exactly like an ancient, submerged roadway or the foundation of a colossal wall. The moment divers laid eyes on it, the name was born, the Bimini Road. For believers, this was not just a curious rock formation, it was a tangible piece of a lost world, a paved road leading straight to the fabled continent of Atlantis. The stones seemed too perfectly aligned, their edges too sharp, their shapes too uniform to be a simple quirk of geology. The idea captured the public imagination, suggesting that a sophisticated civilization once thrived here on land that has since vanished beneath the waves. Yet, as with Yonaguni, mainstream science offers a very different, more earthly explanation. Geologists point to a common natural process in the region. The blocks, they argue, are a perfect example of beak rock. This material forms when layers of sand, shell fragments, and other coastal sediments become naturally cemented together by calcium carbonate, essentially acting like a weak, natural concrete. Over vast stretches of time, sea levels rose, submerging these ancient beach lines. The seemingly perfect rectangular blocks and their linear arrangement are explained by the way this type of rock fractures. It naturally breaks along straight planes and joints, creating the illusion of carefully laid pavement. The sheer scale and straightness of the formation, however, continue to challenge this purely natural theory. Some researchers propose a fascinating middle ground, suggesting that ancient peoples might have found this naturally fractured beak rock and used the conveniently shaped blocks to construct a harbor, a ceremonial platform, or a fish trap. This would make the Bimini Road not a road to a lost city, but a testament to human ingenuity, a structure built by a clever culture using the materials the ocean provided. The Bimini Road, therefore, is more than just a collection of stones. It is a symbol of a much larger debate. It forces us to ask where the line truly lies between a remarkable natural coincidence and the faint, weathered signature of a forgotten human past. This enduring question pulls us from the sun-drenched Caribbean into the cold, dark waters of a Scottish loch, where a different kind of sunken formation hides, one that resembles a structure found in every culture on Earth. The mystery of sunken structures stretches from the Scottish lochs to the murky waters of India's Gulf of Khambat. Here, a discovery was made not by divers but by sound waves. During a routine pollution survey, sonar equipment pinged back something extraordinary from the seafloor. The readings revealed a sprawling, seemingly organized complex lying 120 feet down. The images showed what looked like large, piled stone cairns and clear, geometric patterns spread across a vast area. This was not a single monument, but the ghostly outline of an entire settlement, a potential city lost beneath the waves. The immediate and most shocking evidence came from artifacts dredged from the site, including pieces of wood and pottery. When subjected to carbon dating, the results were staggering. The materials were dated to approximately 9,000 years old. If this date is accurate, it shatters conventional historical timelines. This sunken complex would be thousands of years older than the great civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt, and it would predate the Indus Valley civilization by a staggering 5 millennia. The implications are profound, suggesting a sophisticated, urban society thriving at a time when most of humanity was presumed to be living in small, nomadic groups. Could the Gulf of Khambat be the tangible proof of a forgotten advanced culture, one that was eventually swallowed by the rising seas at the end of the last ice age? Skeptics, however, urge extreme caution. They argue that the sonar images, while intriguing, are open to interpretation. The powerful currents of the Gulf can create sweeping, linear sand ridges and silt deposits that can easily mimic the appearance of foundations and walls. The artifacts recovered from the seabed, they note, could have been carried far from their original location by these same currents, making it difficult to prove they are directly connected to the sonar structures. The debate is a classic clash of paradigms, forcing us to ask if we are seeing what we want to see, or if we are genuinely looking at the rubble of a world we never knew existed. This enigma does not just challenge a few historical facts, it challenges the entire story of human civilization, pushing us to consider that our past may be far deeper and more mysterious than our textbooks allow. This idea of a world rewritten by water carries us to another corner of the globe, where a submerged river defies the very logic of the ocean. While the Gulf of Khambat remains a sonar ghost, the sunken city of Pavlopetri offers a tangible, heartbreakingly clear window into the past. Resting just beneath the surface off the coast of Greece, its stone foundations are so intact you can still trace the outlines of its streets. This is not a theory or a controversial formation, but a confirmed Bronze Age city, a thriving community that was swallowed by the sea over 5,000 years ago. Walking its submerged lanes is like traversing a ghostly blueprint, with the layouts of homes, courtyards, and even tombs still perfectly visible on the seabed. Archaeologists have mapped a complete urban plan, revealing a sophisticated settlement with a clear central street, organized neighborhoods, and evidence of a complex water management system. This level of preservation is unparalleled, providing an incredibly detailed snapshot of daily life in a world that predates classical Greece by millennia. The true mystery of Pavlopetri is not its existence but its fate. What precise combination of forces sent this entire city to the bottom of the sea? The most straightforward explanation points to the slow, global rise in sea levels that followed the last ice age. As glaciers melted, oceans crept upward, gradually claiming coastal settlements over centuries. This is a powerful, planet-wide process, but some researchers believe it is not the whole story for Pavlopetri. They point to the region's intense tectonic activity. The land here is geologically alive, constantly shifting and settling. it is entirely possible that a significant seismic event, an earthquake, caused a sudden subsidence of the coastline, dropping Pavlopetri and a portion of its land several feet in a single catastrophic moment. This would have allowed the sea to rush in far more quickly than a simple, gradual rise, dooming the city in a day instead of a lifetime. The haunting beauty of Pavlopetri is its silent lesson. It stands as a stark monument to the vulnerability of human civilization in the face of the Earth's immense power. Its preserved streets are not just an archaeological treasure, they are a warning from the past, reminding us that the ground beneath our feet is not always solid and the sea is never truly still. This profound interplay between a stable human world and a volatile natural one finds a strange echo in our next mystery, a place where the ocean itself seems to break its own rules, hiding a flowing river within its depths. The deep sea holds more than just ancient cities. It also conceals objects that defy immediate classification. In 2011, a team of Swedish ocean explorers were mapping the Baltic Sea floor for a treasure hunt when their sonar registered something utterly bizarre. A strange circular object about 200 feet across lay on the seabed. The sonar images were startlingly clear, showing a distinct disc shape with sharp, straight edges and a long, trailing furrow behind it, as if it had skidded to a halt. Most intriguing of all were the features on its surface, including what many observers described as a set of steps, a staircase leading into the dark. The discovery, instantly dubbed the Baltic Sea Anomaly, ignited a firestorm of speculation. Was this a crashed UFO, a relic from a lost advanced civilization, or perhaps a secret sunken warship from a forgotten world war? The object's uncanny resemblance to the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars only fueled the public's imagination, turning a sonar ping into a global sensation. Yet, as with all deep-sea mysteries, the scientific community offered more grounded, though no less fascinating, explanations. Geologists pointed out that the last ice age scraped and sculpted this entire region. They proposed the anomaly could be a colossal glacial erratic, a giant boulder dragged by a glacier and then deposited as the ice retreated. Another theory suggests it is simply an unusual outcropping of volcanic rock, formed by geological processes we are only beginning to understand. Skeptics also note that the sonar images, while dramatic, can be deceptive, as sound waves bouncing off a complex seabed can create optical illusions. So, is it a spaceship or a stone? The truth remains locked under 900 feet of cold, dark water. The Baltic Sea Anomaly perfectly captures the tension between our desire for the extraordinary and the patient explanations of science. It is a powerful reminder that the ocean floor is a gallery of natural oddities, shapes so strange they can trick us into seeing the impossible. This same sense of wonder draws us to a different kind of underwater structure, one that seems to mirror the megalithic temples built by human hands on dry land. Our planet's most astonishing rivers do not always flow under the open sky. Deep beneath the surface of the Black Sea, a true geological paradox exists, a full-fledged river flowing silently along the seafloor. This is not a gentle current but a powerful, channeled torrent complete with its own banks, waterfalls, and floodplains, all contained within the still, dark waters of the abyss. How can a river run through an ocean? The answer lies in a simple yet powerful principle of density. This underwater river is composed of water that is significantly saltier and colder, and therefore much denser than the surrounding Black Sea water. Because it is heavier, it sinks to the bottom and flows downhill, seeking the lowest point, just like a river on land. It carves deep canyons into the soft seabed sediment, creating a submerged landscape that looks as though it was stolen from a continent and plunged into the deep. This river, known as a submarine channel, is a dynamic, ever-changing system. It demonstrates that geological forces are not just about solid rock, but also about the constant, fluid movement of water itself, shaping the seafloor in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. The implications ripple far beyond mere curiosity. Such underwater channels act as conveyor belts, transporting nutrients, organic material, and even oxygen into the deep basins that would otherwise be barren deserts. This can create isolated oases of life in the profound darkness, supporting unique ecosystems that thrive on this unexpected bounty. For historians and archaeologists, the river presents another tantalizing possibility. Some scientists theorize that these powerful undersea currents could have played a role in ancient human stories, perhaps by preserving sunken settlements under layers of protective sediment, or even by creating treacherous currents that influenced early maritime migration routes. The existence of this hidden river forces us to expand our definition of a geological wonder. It proves that some of the Earth's most active and mysterious processes are not frozen in stone, but are liquid, flowing, and constantly rewriting the hidden landscape of the deep. This realization of a world shaped by fluid forces prepares us for a legend carved in stone, the sunken ruins that many believe are the final resting place of an entire empire. The rediscovery of Heracleion was a moment of pure archaeological magic, pulling a legend from the silt and into the light. For over 1,000 years, this magnificent Egyptian port city was nothing more than a rumor in ancient texts, a place where pharaohs were crowned and trade with Greece flourished. Then, in the year 2000, a team led by French archaeologist Frank Gaudiot found it, resting in the murky waters of Baltic Bay. The scale of the discovery was breathtaking. Grand statues of pharaohs and queens stood silently on the seafloor, their features still sharp. Dozens of sunken ships lay in the harbor, their hulls filled with gold coins and bronze artifacts. The most imposing find was a massive stone slab, a stele, inscribed with a decree that confirmed the city's true name, Thonis Heracleion, finally proving its legendary status was real. This was not a myth, it was a metropolis frozen in time beneath the Mediterranean. But what force could possibly sink an entire city of such importance? The answer lies in a perfect storm of geological vulnerability. Heracleion was built on the unstable clay and sediment of the Nile Delta. Over centuries, the weight of its massive stone temples and buildings, combined with a slow rise in sea levels, began to press down on this soft ground. Geologists believe the city likely fell victim to a process called soil liquefaction, where water-saturated ground temporarily loses its strength and behaves like a liquid, often triggered by an earthquake. A significant seismic shock could have caused entire sections of the city to simply tumble and sink into the liquefied earth, allowing the sea to rush in and claim it forever. The city's fate is a sobering lesson written in stone and water, a stark reminder that even the grandest civilizations are built upon a planet that is constantly, and sometimes violently, shifting. This story of a port lost to the sea resonates powerfully with another sunken marvel, one built not on a delta, but within the protected waters of a royal harbor. The debate surrounding the Yonaguni monument does not end with its main terraces and staircases. Some researchers point to other large, angular formations nearby, structures they argue bear an uncanny resemblance to stepped pyramids. These colossal blocks, with their sharp, repeating ledges, are compared by proponents to the ziggurats of Mesopotamia or the pyramids found in ancient Mesoamerica. The suggestion is staggering, proposing that this single underwater complex might contain not just one ceremonial structure, but an entire sacred landscape, a city of pyramids now claimed by the Pacific. This theory pushes the idea of a lost civilization even further, implying a culture with the knowledge and manpower to shape the very bedrock into monumental, symbolic forms. Could these be the weathered remains of a forgotten architectural tradition, a cultural thread connecting ancient Japan to other pyramid-building societies across the globe? The geological perspective, however, remains firmly anchored in natural processes. Skeptics explain that the entire region is a showcase of powerful tectonic forces, where massive sandstone layers have been uplifted, fractured, and then meticulously sculpted by ocean currents over millennia. The so-called pyramids, they argue, are simply the most dramatic examples of this relentless natural quarrying. The stepped appearance is a classic result of differential erosion, where harder layers of rock resist the waters while softer layers between them are carved away, creating a series of natural tiers. What we perceive as intentional design, they caution, is a powerful illusion, a perfect example of pareidolia, where our pattern-seeking brains impose familiar shapes like pyramids onto entirely random natural forms. This controversy is more than an academic dispute. It is a fundamental lesson in how we see the world. It forces us to confront our own desire to find meaning and order in the chaos of nature. The Yonaguni pyramids, whether real or imagined, challenge us to question our own perceptions, reminding us that the greatest mystery might not be the formation itself, but the intricate relationship between the human mind and the deep, silent world it seeks to understand. This search for clarity leads us from the contested waters of Japan to a place where human history is etched unmistakably into the sunken stone. The story of Heracleion's sudden collapse finds a haunting parallel in a much older, slower tragedy that unfolded far to the north. A vast, fertile landscape once stretched between Britain and mainland Europe, a realm of rolling hills, winding rivers, and dense forests known today as Doggerland. For thousands of years, it was not a seabed but a heartland, home to mammoths, giant deer, and bands of Mesolithic hunters who tracked them across the grassy plains. This was a real, inhabited world, a cradle of early European civilization now completely erased from the map. The evidence for this sunken continent is not merely geological, it is profoundly human. Fishermen trawling the North Sea have for centuries pulled up unexpected treasures in their nets, not just shells, but the bones of long-extinct animals and, even more remarkably, finely crafted stone tools and weapons. These artifacts are the direct, tangible proof that people lived, hunted, and raised families on this land. Geological surveys using advanced sonar have since mapped this lost world in stunning detail, revealing the ghostly outlines of its sunken river valleys, ancient coastlines, and the submerged forests that gave the region its name, their petrified trunks still standing silently on the seafloor. The demise of Doggerland was not a sudden cataclysm but a relentless, creeping invasion. As the last ice age waned, the colossal glaciers melted, pouring immense volumes of water back into the world's oceans. Sea levels rose inexorably century after century, slowly drowning the low-lying plains. The forests died as saltwater poisoned the soil, the game animals were forced to retreat, and the human inhabitants saw their ancestral homelands steadily shrink, generation by generation. They were witnesses to a slow-motion apocalypse, constantly pushed toward higher ground until the final, narrow land bridge to the continent vanished beneath the waves, transforming Britain into an island. This process raises profound questions about human resilience. How did these prehistoric societies adapt to such a fundamental loss of their territory? Did they simply migrate, or did the pressure of a disappearing world force them to develop new technologies like boats and new fishing techniques, ultimately changing the course of their culture? Doggerland is more than a lost world, it is a stark and poignant lesson. It demonstrates with chilling clarity how geological and climatic shifts, even slow ones, have the power to obliterate entire ecosystems and displace human populations forever. Its story, preserved in silt and stone, echoes as a powerful reminder of our own vulnerability to a changing planet. This reflection on a world reshaped by ice leads us to another chilling enigma, a place where the ocean seems to have frozen time itself, preserving a moment of terror from a long-vanished age. The same sea that gently caresses the Greek islands holds a violent, fiery power deep beneath its surface. The Aegean Sea is a geological battleground where the African tectonic plate slowly dives beneath the Eurasian plate, creating a landscape dotted with submerged volcanoes. These are not dormant giants but active, simmering forces that have literally reshaped the world. The most famous is the caldera at Santorini, a vast, water-filled crater that is all that remains of a single, colossal island known as Thera. Around the year 1600 BC, this volcano erupted with a fury almost beyond comprehension. It was one of the largest volcanic events in human history, sending tsunamis racing across the Mediterranean and pumping so much ash into the atmosphere that it blotted out the sun, potentially causing years of global climate cooling. The fallout was catastrophic for the brilliant Minoan civilization on nearby Crete. Their sophisticated palaces and thriving ports, which showed no signs of invasion, were utterly devastated by the waves and ashfall, leading to their rapid decline. This real-world cataclysm, the sudden annihilation of an advanced island culture, is so deeply etched into human memory that many scholars believe it formed the core of the Atlantis legend, a story of a magnificent island kingdom swallowed by the sea in a single day and night of misfortune. But the mystery of these underwater volcanoes is not confined to the past. They remain active, their submerged craters home to hydrothermal vents that spew superheated, mineral-rich water, creating otherworldly chimneys and supporting bizarre ecosystems of tube worms and blind shrimp that thrive on chemical energy rather than sunlight. For scientists, these vents are windows into the origins of life itself and potential analogues for oceans on other worlds. The enduring enigma is prediction. With these volcanoes lying largely hidden under the sea, how do we accurately forecast their next move? Understanding their complex triggers and monitoring their subtle tremors is a constant race against time, an effort to protect the modern communities living in the shadow of these sleeping giants. This journey from the fiery crucible of the Aegean brings us to a mystery of an entirely different nature, one forged not in heat but in ice. Far beneath the warm surface of the Gulf of Mexico lies a frozen record of a much colder world. Scattered across the dark seabed are vast, eerie landscapes of ice, not made from water but from methane gas. These are methane hydrate deposits, crystalline structures that form when methane molecules become trapped within cages of frozen water under the immense pressure of the deep ocean. They are essentially flammable ice, a geological paradox that holds clues to our planet's dramatic past. These deposits are often found near cold seeps, areas where hydrogen sulfide, brine, and methane slowly seep out of the seafloor, creating toxic, super salty pools that shimmer like underwater mirrors. While these brine pools are lethal to most sea creatures, they create isolated oases for a bizarre menagerie of life. Here, chemosynthetic bacteria form the base of a food web unlike any on the sunlit surface. These microbes convert the toxic chemicals into energy, supporting sprawling colonies of tube worms, ghostly white crabs, and mussels that thrive in the absolute darkness, completely independent of the sun. The true mystery locked within these icy formations is their potential for catastrophic change. Scientists have found evidence that during past periods of climate warming, such as the end of the last ice age, the oceans may have warmed just enough to destabilize these vast frozen deposits. This could have triggered a massive, rapid release of methane, a potent greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. Such an event would have dramatically accelerated global warming, potentially contributing to major extinction events or abrupt climate shifts that reshape the planet. This makes the Gulf's frozen relics more than just a geological curiosity. They are a stark warning. By studying these sunken time capsules, scientists can create better models for our own future, understanding how the delicate balance between the ocean floor and our atmosphere can be disrupted. These icy wonders prove that the deep sea is not a separate world, but a dynamic player in the Earth's climate system, holding powerful forces that can rise from the abyss to change the world above. From these frozen reservoirs of ancient climate, our journey takes us to a site where the line between myth and history becomes impossibly thin. Scattered across the Caribbean seabed, perfect circles of stone and coral challenge our understanding of ancient coastal societies. These submerged rings, some dozens of feet across, appear with a geometric precision that feels deliberate. In the clear, shallow waters, divers can swim through these mysterious formations, their uniform shapes standing in stark contrast to the chaotic beauty of the natural reef. Were these the work of human hands or simply another of the ocean's captivating illusions? The debate hinges on a simple but profound question. Are we looking at the ruins of a forgotten industry or the artistry of nature? Some archaeologists argue these circles are the remnants of sophisticated fish traps built by pre-Columbian peoples who mastered their marine environment. The theory is compelling. Imagine a circular stone wall constructed just low enough to be submerged at high tide. Fish would swim freely over the top, but as the tide receded, they would become trapped inside the ring, providing an easy and reliable harvest for the community. This would represent a brilliant adaptation, a form of sustainable aquaculture practiced centuries before modern science. Other researchers propose a more spiritual purpose, suggesting the circles could have served as ceremonial sites, their perfect shapes aligning with celestial events or serving as sacred gathering places near the life-giving sea. The human explanation paints a picture of a people intimately connected to the ocean, using its rhythms to their advantage. Yet, geologists and marine biologists offer a different perspective. They point out that many of these circles align perfectly with known natural processes. Some could be ring reefs formed by corals growing in a circular pattern around a central point, perhaps the remnant of a submerged mangrove root or a particularly fertile spot. Others might be the result of unusual sediment deposition patterns where currents sculpt the sandy bottom into temporary rings. The challenge for investigators is that nature is a master of geometry, capable of creating breathtakingly symmetrical patterns without any conscious design. Distinguishing a man-made fish trap from a natural coral ring requires painstaking analysis, looking for telltale signs like tool marks on the stones or a construction that defies the local sedimentary processes. Each circle must be studied within its own unique context, its depth, its construction material, and its relationship to known archaeological sites on nearby shores. These sunken circles, whether created by humans or by the sea itself, highlight the dynamic interface between land and ocean, a frontier where human history and geological force are deeply intertwined. This search for patterns and purpose on the seafloor leads us to an even grander scale of movement, where the very foundations of the ocean are in constant, slow motion. The slow retreat of the Dead Sea reveals a landscape in constant, chaotic motion. As its famous waters vanish, they expose a shoreline pockmarked with gaping sinkholes and strange salt formations that creep and shift as if alive. These are the dancing stones of the Dead Sea Basin, a geological theater where the real drama unfolds deep underground. The primary actor here is salt. Thick subterranean layers of it, left over from ancient seas, are being steadily dissolved by freshwater from hidden springs that seep in from the surrounding hills. As this freshwater eats away at the salt, it creates vast, empty caverns just below the surface. When the roof of one of these caverns can no longer support its own weight, it collapses without warning, swallowing the ground above and creating the terrifying sinkholes that now number in the thousands. This relentless dissolution also causes the ground itself to shift and settle, making the crusty salt pans on the surface appear to slide and dance over time. The entire region is being pulled apart by the tectonic forces of the Jordan Rift Valley, a deep scar in the Earth's crust that allows these underground water channels to form and further destabilizes the land. This makes the Dead Sea Basin a living laboratory, demonstrating with violent clarity how the interaction between water and soluble rock can completely reshape a world. The insights gained here are crucial for understanding other submerged sites, especially those built on salt or limestone, which can be similarly vulnerable to sudden collapse. The Dead Sea shows us that sometimes the most profound geological mysteries are not found in the deep ocean, but in the empty spaces left behind as the water disappears. This portrait of a land being unmade by water perfectly sets the stage for a legend of a city consumed by it, a story that begins with a single, tantalizing clue from the depths of a Canadian lake. Sometimes myth and stone collide with startling force. In the waters off the western coast of India, the ancient city of Dwaraka rises from legend into tangible reality. For centuries, devout Hindus have revered the sacred texts that describe a magnificent city of gold and silver, a celestial metropolis built by the god Krishna himself. The stories tell of its eventual fate, how after Krishna's departure from the world, the glorious Dwaraka was consumed by the ocean, vanishing beneath the waves. For a long time, this was considered pure mythology, a beautiful allegory rather than a historical account. Then, marine archaeologists began to explore the seabed near the modern town of Dwaraka. What they found would ignite a passionate debate that continues to this day. Submerged stone structures emerged from the silt, including large geometric foundations, stone anchors, and the remnants of what appear to be fortified walls. Divers recovered pottery shards, beads, and other artifacts from the depths, and when dated, some of these materials were found to be thousands of years old, aligning with the traditional timeline of the legendary city. For many believers, this was undeniable proof, a divine story validated by science. The sea had finally given up a piece of its secret, confirming a faith held for millennia. The geological explanation for its sinking is both plausible and powerful. This region of India's coast is seismically active, and at the end of the last ice age, sea levels rose significantly. A combination of land subsidence from a major earthquake and the relentless creep of the rising ocean could have easily claimed a coastal settlement, no matter how grand. Yet the core controversy remains fiercely alive. Can these sunken stones truly be called the city of Lord Krishna? The archaeological finds, while compelling, do not include a signpost with the city's name. They point to a sophisticated ancient port, but directly linking it to the specific events of Scripture is a leap that many scientists are hesitant to make. This site exists in a unique space, a place where cultural memory and physical evidence meet. It challenges us to consider how we weigh the power of oral tradition against the strict demands of empirical proof. Dwaraka is more than a potential sunken city. It is a profound conversation between belief and excavation, a reminder that our past is composed not just of artifacts, but of stories that give those artifacts their deepest meaning. This interplay between natural form and perceived artistry deepens with our next mystery, where the ocean floor itself appears to have been sculpted by a master's hand. The ocean floor holds patterns so perfect they seem drawn by an invisible compass. Off the coast of Japan, divers discovered a series of breathtakingly intricate circles, some nearly 7 feet across, carved into the sandy seabed. These formations featured radiating ridges and delicate, symmetrical grooves that looked less like a natural occurrence and more like a piece of sand art created with meticulous care. Their appearance was so uncannily similar to the mysterious crop circles that appear in farm fields that they instantly sparked a firestorm of speculation. Were these the work of an unknown underwater civilization, a geological phenomenon never before documented, or perhaps something else entirely? The truth, when it was finally uncovered, was more wondrous than any fiction. These stunning patterns are not made by humans or geological forces, but by a creature no bigger than a man's hand, a male pufferfish. This tiny artist works tirelessly for days, using only his fins to sculpt the sand, creating a masterpiece with one singular purpose: to attract a mate. The complexity of the circle is the fish's rhizome, a testament to his fitness and health, with the central grooves and outer ridges designed to channel currents and protect the eggs a female might lay in the center. This discovery forces a profound shift in perspective. It demonstrates with stunning clarity that the line between a biological instinct and what we perceive as conscious artistry can be incredibly thin. The pufferfish's creation is a perfect example of how natural processes, driven by evolution, can produce structures of such geometric precision that they appear intelligently designed. This mystery humbles our investigations. It reminds us that when we encounter a sunken wonder, we must cast a wide net for explanations, considering everything from the slow grind of geology to the fleeting, driven behaviors of the creatures that inhabit the deep. The true marvel is not that the circles were mistaken for something else, but that nature itself is the most gifted and patient artist of all. This beautiful intersection of life and form challenges us to look more closely at other sites, to wonder if what we assume is a geological monument might instead be a testament to the enduring and creative power of biology itself. These submerged sinkholes are time capsules of a world turned upside down by rising seas. Off the coast of Belize, the Great Blue Hole opens like a perfect, dark blue eye staring back from the ocean floor. This colossal circular chasm, over 1,000 feet across and 400 feet deep, is a staggering sight from the air, a near-perfect circle of profound blue set within the shallow turquoise of the surrounding coral reef. Its origins, however, lie not in the sea but in a much drier, colder world. During the last ice age, when vast amounts of water were locked up in glaciers, global sea levels were hundreds of feet lower than they are today. The area that is now the Great Blue Hole was then an enormous limestone cave system on dry land, its chambers filled with air, rainwater, slightly acidic from absorbing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, would have dripped from the cave's ceiling, slowly depositing minerals to form the stalactites that hung like stone icicles, while on the floor below, corresponding stalagmites grew upward. This entire intricate world was then drowned in a geological instant. As the ice age ended and the glaciers melted, the ocean rose relentlessly, flooding the cave system. The weight of the water and the saturated ground eventually caused the ceiling of the largest chamber to collapse inward, creating the open sinkhole we see today, its walls still adorned with the ancient, submerged stalactites that now point sideways in the deep, silent currents. This formation is a classic example of a karst process, where soluble rock like limestone is dissolved by water, creating caves and sinkholes. But the Blue Hole is more than just a geological specimen. it is a natural archive. Scientists who brave its deep, anoxic waters, where oxygen is scarce and life is sparse, can extract sediment cores from its floor. These long tubes of layered muck act like a history book, with each layer preserving a record of past climate, rainfall patterns, and even evidence of ancient hurricanes. By reading these layers, researchers can piece together a detailed picture of how our planet's climate has shifted over thousands of years, providing critical context for understanding our current changing world. The hole's very existence is a monument to the power of sea level change, a dramatic reminder that the coastline is never permanent. This journey into a collapsed cave system, a place where stone formations tell a story of drowning, naturally shifts our focus to a different kind of underwater structure, one that was built not by the slow drip of water, but by the deliberate hands of humanity. The Mediterranean floor holds stone giants sleeping in the silt, scattered from the coasts of Sicily to Lebanon. These are not random boulders but colossal, cut blocks, some weighing many tons, resting in formations that whisper of human intention. We find long lines of massive stones that look like the foundations of vanished walls, and wide circles of fitted rock that could be the footprints of ancient temples. Their sheer scale and apparent organization suggest these were once harbors, sacred sites, or formidable defensive barriers built by peoples whose names are now lost to the waves. The immediate and compelling theory is that we are looking at the drowned remnants of sophisticated coastal settlements, a network of prehistoric communities that thrived when sea levels were lower. This would force a dramatic rewrite of history, suggesting that maritime trade and monumental construction along these shores began far earlier than our current records indicate. The capabilities required to quarry, transport, and position such massive stones points to a level of social organization and engineering skill we didn't know existed in this region's deep past. Yet, the geology of the Mediterranean tells another story, one of immense and relentless natural force. This entire sea is a tectonic battleground where the African plate collides with Eurasia, causing the land to shudder, sink, and rise over millennia. The same sandstone that forms these coasts has a strong tendency to fracture along straight plains, especially when under seismic stress. Powerful storm waves and steady erosion over thousands of years could have sculpted natural bedrock into what now appear to be neatly aligned blocks and geometric patterns. So, are we seeing the ruins of a forgotten world or a spectacular geological mirage? The answer may be maddeningly complex, a mix of both. Perhaps ancient builders discovered these naturally impressive, fractured stone formations and saw an opportunity, using them as a ready-made foundation upon which to build their own structures. The true puzzle is not just identifying the stones, but understanding the people who might have used them. What kind of society lived here, and what cataclysm forced them to abandon their monumental works to the sea? Was it a sudden, violent subsidence from an earthquake, or the slow, inexorable creep of rising oceans that finally claimed their shores? These silent megaliths stand as a profound challenge, not only to our timelines of human achievement, but to our very perception of the past. They force us to look closer, to question whether the line between a natural wonder and a human one is as solid as the stone itself. This deep connection between sunken stone and the civilizations that may have shaped it flows naturally into our next mystery, one that reveals how ancient peoples ingeniously tapped into the sea's most unexpected resource, fresh water. Far below the waves, fresh water flows into the sea from hidden veins in the earth. The coastal shelf of Florida is not a solid barrier but a porous limestone platform, and throughout this submerged landscape, freshwater springs burst forth from the aquifer below. These are not gentle seeps, but powerful, upward-flowing vents that locals call boils, creating shimmering, lens-shaped disturbances on the ocean's surface as the lighter freshwater struggles to mix with the dense saltwater. This creates a strange and beautiful paradox: isolated pockets of fresh water suspended in the sea, each one a unique microenvironment. The very existence of these submarine springs is a direct consequence of Florida's karst geology, a landscape riddled with caves and sinkholes formed by acidic rainwater slowly dissolving the soft bedrock over eons. This intricate plumbing system, the Floridan aquifer, is pressurized, forcing its water out through any available crack or conduit, even those located on the ocean floor. Placement and flow of these springs are a living record of environmental change. When sea levels were lower during the ice ages, these same springs would have been on dry land, perhaps serving as vital water sources for ancient peoples and now extinct animals. Their current submerged state marks the latest chapter in a long story of interaction between land and sea, a story now complicated by modern human demands. As we pump ever more water from the aquifer for cities and agriculture, the pressure within the system drops. This can allow saltwater to intrude backwards into the freshwater veins, contaminating the very resource we depend on and potentially silencing these underwater springs forever. For hydrologists, these boils are crucial natural monitoring stations. By studying their flow rates and chemistry, scientists can model the health of the entire aquifer system, using these visible symptoms to diagnose the invisible condition of a water source that millions of people rely on. The springs also hold a place in local lore, sometimes rumored to be the hiding places for pirate treasure or the homes of spirits, adding a layer of human mystery to their geological wonder. They are a powerful reminder that the boundaries between land and sea, and between fresh and salt water, are far more fluid than they appear. This delicate balance of liquids beneath the surface leads us to consider another submerged resource, one that has fueled both human progress and profound mystery, a substance that also emerges from the deep but with far more volatile consequences. The ocean floor can bleed. Off the coast of California, in the Santa Barbara Channel, the seabed is not a passive landscape but an active participant in a slow, constant geological process. For thousands of years, natural oil seeps have been leaking crude oil and methane gas from deep underground reservoirs, oozing up through faults and fractures in the Earth's crust. This is not a result of human industry, but a fundamental planetary function, a natural part of the global carbon cycle that has been ongoing since long before humans walked the Earth. The most dramatic manifestations of this process are the so-called asphalt volcanoes, strange, dark mounds built up over millennia from thick, tar-like hydrocarbons that have solidified upon contact with the cold seawater. These formations can be massive, some rising as high as a 2-story building, creating a bizarre, otherworldly terrain on the ocean floor. Yet, in the midst of this apparent pollution, life not only persists but thrives. Specialized microbes have evolved to consume the oil and methane, forming the base of a unique food web. Around these seeps, dense colonies of tube worms and clams cluster, their existence made possible by a symbiotic relationship with these bacteria, creating isolated oases of life that flourish on a diet of natural gas and crude oil. For scientists, these sites are invaluable natural laboratories. By studying how this ecosystem adapts to and processes hydrocarbons, researchers gain crucial insights into how the ocean might respond to man-made oil spills. They learn which microbes are most effective at breaking down oil, and how the broader marine community is affected by chronic, low-level exposure. Furthermore, the seeps act as windows into the deeper geological structures of the sedimentary basin, helping petroleum geologists locate underground reserves and understand the immense pressures that drive these subterranean fluids to the surface. This creates a profound duality, a place where a geological process that can be environmentally destructive also fosters unique biological communities and provides critical scientific knowledge. The seeps force us to confront a complex reality, where the line between a natural wonder and an environmental hazard is blurred. They are a testament to the planet's dynamic and sometimes messy nature, a reminder that the Earth has its own rhythms and releases independent of our own. As we surface from these oily, life-filled depths, we prepare to confront the grand finale of our journey, a sunken wonder that encompasses all the themes of time, water, and mystery we have explored. Our final journey takes us into a labyrinth of stone and shadow hidden beneath the jungles of Mexico. The Yucatan Peninsula holds one of the planet's most extensive networks of underwater caves, a breathtaking world of flooded tunnels known as cenotes. These are not simple holes in the ground, but the visible entrances to a vast, dark realm that stretches for hundreds of miles. Their creation is a masterpiece of patient chemistry. The entire peninsula is a massive slab of porous limestone. For millions of years, slightly acidic rainwater seeped through the soil, slowly dissolving the bedrock and carving out an immense subterranean world of air-filled chambers and connecting passages. During the ice ages, when sea levels were dramatically lower, these caves were completely dry, adorned with the slow-growing jewelry of the underground. Stalactites hung from the ceilings like stone icicles, while stalagmites rose from the floors in silent, upward growth. These speleothems, as they are known, are more than just beautiful formations, they are climate archives. Each delicate layer of mineral deposit holds a chemical signature of the rainfall and temperature from the time it was formed, creating a 1,000-year record of our planet's changing moods. The caves also became tombs for time. As the climate shifted, animals like giant ground sloths and saber-toothed cats would wander into the caves, sometimes falling into pit traps and their bones becoming preserved in the cool, stable environment. When the glaciers melted and the oceans rose, saltwater slowly infiltrated this subterranean world, flooding the caves and preserving these paleontological treasures in a watery vault. This same water that protects the past also guards it fiercely. Exploring these sunken caves is a monumental challenge, a dangerous ballet of technical diving through narrow, silt-filled passages where one wrong fin kick can erase visibility in an instant. The very water that acts as a preservative also makes interpretation difficult, as scientists must work in total darkness, under immense time constraints, to carefully extract data without disturbing the fragile equilibrium. Yet the greatest mystery of the Yucatan caves may be their connection to humanity. For the ancient Maya, these cenotes were not just sources of fresh water, they were sacred portals to the underworld, known as Xibalba. Archaeologists have found poignant offerings deep within these flooded grottos, jade figurines, intricate pottery, and even evidence of ritual ceremonies. Some caves hold the silent, solemn remains of human sacrifices, individuals who are believed to carry messages to the gods in the world below. This intertwining of deep geological history with profound human belief makes the Yucatan cenotes the ultimate sunken wonder. They are cathedrals of time where the slow drip of water constructing a stalactite exists alongside the fleeting, fervent prayers of a people seeking meaning from the depths. They defy explanation not because of their strange shape, but because of their layered story, a narrative written simultaneously in stone, water, bone, and spirit. With this final marvel, we have traversed a globe of submerged enigmas, from man-made monuments to natural paradoxes. Each one, in its own way, challenges our understanding and reminds us that the greatest mysteries are often those that lie just beneath the surface, waiting in the quiet dark. These technological eyes in the deep have fundamentally changed the questions we can even think to ask. Autonomous underwater vehicles now glide silently through the abyss, their high-resolution sonar painting landscapes in 1,000,000 points of data, revealing contours and shapes invisible to the human eye from the surface. This is not just mapping, it is revelation. Where once a diver might see a single, perplexing wall, and a UV can map an entire sunken settlement, showing the precise layout of its streets and the foundations of its homes. The investigation continues on a microscopic scale. Scientists can now extract long tubes of mud, sediment cores, from the seabed near these sites. By analyzing the layers within these cores, much like reading the rings of a tree, they can pinpoint the exact moment a tsunami deposited a layer of sand over a coastal city, or when freshwater pollen gave way to salt-tolerant microorganisms, marking the precise time the sea claimed the land. Even the very stones of a sunken monument can be interrogated. Isotopic dating techniques measure minute traces of radioactive elements within the rock, providing a firm age that can confirm or shatter a theory about its origins. This suite of tools allows us to move beyond speculation and into the realm of hard evidence. For a place like the Yonaguni monument, isotopic dating could theoretically determine if the stone was fractured 5,000 years ago or 500,000, a crucial piece of the puzzle. At the Gulf of Khambat, advanced sonar could differentiate between natural sand ridges and the straight, right-angled foundations of a man-made wall. The power of this technology is not just in seeing what is there, but in seeing what is no longer visible. LiDAR, which uses laser light instead of sound, can penetrate layers of silt and sand from aircraft, revealing the ghostly imprint of structures buried for millennia. In some cases, researchers are even sifting through underwater sediments, looking not for artifacts but for ancient DNA. This environmental DNA can tell us what plants grew nearby, what animals roamed the shores, and may one day even reveal the genetic footprint of the people who lived there, reconstructing an entire lost ecosystem from a handful of mud. Yet with every new tool comes a new dilemma. The sheer volume of data these machines collect is staggering, and interpreting a sonar map requires a trained eye to distinguish a sunken pyramid from a natural hill. There is also a profound ethical responsibility. The same submersible that can film a pristine shipwreck can also accidentally damage it with a careless thruster's blast. The act of taking a sediment core, while informative, is itself an intrusion into a sealed environmental record. This forces a delicate balance, a partnership between engineers, archaeologists, and geologists. The goal is no longer just to find, but to understand and to preserve. The ongoing evolution of this technology promises even greater revelations, suggesting that the sunken wonders we know today may be just the first chapter in a story we are only now learning how to read. Our journey through these 20 sunken wonders brings us back to the fundamental truth that the deep sea is a realm of profound transformation. We have wandered from the sharp angles of Yonaguni to the flammable ice of the Gulf, and at every turn we have found a world where nature's immense power and the faint whispers of human history are inseparably fused. These are not just isolated curiosities, they are interconnected pieces of a planetary puzzle, each one challenging the rigid boundaries between geology and archaeology, between random chance and intelligent design. They force us to reconsider the very timeline of our past and the stability of our future. The ocean floor is far more than a museum of static relics. It is a dynamic, living archive. Its layers of sediment hold the chemical secrets of ancient climates, while its shifting tectonic plates continue to rewrite the map in real time. The stories preserved in this cold, dark vault are not finished. They are merely waiting for the next explorer, the next technological leap, to reveal their next chapter. We have only just begun to read them. Thank you for joining this expedition into the abyss. We would love to hear which of these mysteries captured your imagination most powerfully. Share your thoughts below, and if you are eager for more journeys into the unexplained, be sure to subscribe. The ocean guards its secrets closely, but the next great discovery is always waiting just beneath the next